So following that reading from Genesis, I have with me Andrew Leake, Dr. Andrew Leake, known to many of us. Andrew is an environmentalist based in northern Argentina. He read environmental studies at the University of Hertfordshire back in the 1980s. While he was there, he worshipped at St. Paul's, and we kept that relationship with Andrew and his wife, Maria, and indeed they are mission partners of St. Paul's right through to today. Andrew, I think over the past 30 years, you've contributed to efforts by Tear Fund, by CMS, the Church Mission Society, and other charities to help Indigenous people legalize their land rights, protect forests in places like Honduras and Argentina. And a key part of your work today is helping local people protect their own environments and, if you like, restoring their relationship with God's creation. So when you hear a passage like that Genesis passage about God forming man from the dust of the ground, and then going on to plant God planting man in the Garden of Eden, how does that come to you in terms of our relationship with the land, with earth, with the dust from which we've come?
It's a great question, Peter. I think the first thing I would say is I see this question from a perspective of space and place. And I think, you know, my experience, as you say, has been strongly linked to Indigenous land rights claims in Honduras, Argentina, and Paraguay, in fact. And the emphasis was always on the land. You know, these people need space, but within that experience and being with Indigenous people, going out hunting with them, seeing how they hunt fish, how they collect honey and fruits and that, I began to realize, you know, it wasn't just space. Space was obviously important, but within that space, there was also places that were extremely important. And those places were productive at different times of the year and different seasons, and the Indigenous people knew which places to go to for what resources throughout the year, and that kind of really opened up my eyes to the importance of place within space. So I think that's kind of like a framework. I would like to say I come to this issue from that angle, and obviously within space and place, the whole business of soil is crucially important, and that's something I've come to realize, ironically, as a result of planting vegetables in my garden. I mean, this is after years of working on land rights. I think it's not until you pick up a spade and a pick and try and make what was a tobacco farm, which is where we live now, what was tobacco land. So the land was absolutely destroyed with chemicals, and trying to get the soil back in, reviving the soil was such an effort. And that kind of really opened my eyes to the fact, you know, the soil is, you know, it is the fundamental part of life. I mean, as they say, we and our daily bread are both products of the soil. I mean, it's that basic. So yeah, space, place, but ultimately, you know, our relationship with soil. I mean, and in Genesis 25, I mean, it sounds so simple, but you know, that relationship between Adam and the soil, between Adam and Adamah, you know, even the words seem to rhyme, and I think that the nearest English equivalent is humans and humus. You know, it's that intricate, and we often just don't take it for granted. I mean, we spend a lot of time separating ourselves from soil. You know, making sure we've got a good floor, a good insulation, a good pair of shoes, a good set of tires, or we fly high enough. You know, it's always distancing ourselves from the soil. And in fact, you know, we clean the soil from our shoes and all of that. And I think, you know, we've really got to pause and recognize, you know, that our relationship with that dirty stuff on the bottom of our shoes is actually so intricate. You know, that's where we came from and that's where we're going. I mean, it's that intricate.
So if we were in normal times on Ash Wednesday, it could well be that we would be placing ashes on people's on their foreheads, and we would be saying, "Remember that you are dust, and to dust you shall return." So do you think that that's something that we've kind of forgotten in our Western societies, where we've tarmacked over things and we've all got paving where we perhaps used to have soil and things like that?
I think so. Certainly in our society, yes. Last time I was in the UK, I went to a funeral. It was a cremation, and I mean, there was no visual link of that body going back to the soil. It disappeared behind a nice, neat, electronically operated curtain, and it was all nicely distant. Going back to indigenous people, one of the things that really impacted me when I came out to Argentina to start work here with the church was this expression that the indigenous people here had, that we are this in the context of land rights, okay? We were trying to enable these people to fight for your land rights, get the government to recognize your rights. And they were saying, well, we are the flower of the earth. And I thought, yeah, that's all very nice, but you need your land rights. But what they were actually saying to us is, like flowers, we are born from on the earth. We live on the earth, and we die and go back into the earth, which is very biblical if you think about it. But what they were saying to me through this was, how can we own something that really owns us? And I think it's, in a sense, I do have an enormous privilege to sort of see the same issue cross-culturally by listening to different people. And I think that really helps you to fully understand, the reality of the fact that we do, that is how God made it. He made us from soil, we go back to soil. But I think the important point there is that it just, that so strongly underlines the fact that, we are such an intricate part of creation. It's not us and creation over there. It's, that's something that as Christians, we really need to recuperate. And it's not just a question of planting your vegetables. I mean, everything we do has an impact environmentally. And ultimately, soil is a main determinant of environmental quality. As I was saying with indigenous people, I mean, certain fruits only grow in certain trees, which only grow in certain soils. So yeah, all of that just to say, I think, it is a tremendous opportunity, I think, for this Ash Wednesday to think about that link and to bring that thought into practical living.
And one of the themes that we're developing for Lent at St. Paul's, and of course Ash Wednesday is the beginning of Lent, is the concept of letting go, letting go, letting God. We've all had to let go of so many things during the pandemic, and I'm wondering, are there things that you might think of that we might either want to let go or take up this Lent in terms of creation care, in terms of the protection of God's good earth and those sorts of things?
Good question again, Peter. I'll go back to my own experience since the beginning of this new year. What I'm trying to do is just let go of me trying to control things. I'm always one. I want to start trumping. I don't want my neighbors to do certain things. I don't want them to make loud music. I want people on the road to drive properly. And in the end, it just stresses you out. I mean, it's a psychological issue. And I think just letting go and knowing that you can't control everything is extremely important. And as you do, I think that gives more space for, I was going to say for God to do stuff in your life, but that sounds rather basic. But I think it just that gives you more space to allow for things to happen according to how God would have them. So I think that letting go in terms of just sort of sitting back and relaxing and just being in the moment, if you like, is something that I am doing, and also letting go of, well, I was going to say materialism, but I think it's letting go of things that, it's difficult for me to sort of put into words, but I think it's just letting go of materialism. I'll put it like that, and just embracing the importance of the spiritual and the social, particularly after 2020, this whole business, our relationships, been upended. And I think we have to invest a lot more energy now in recouping what we've lost in terms of personal contact. So I would put it at that, I think it's just letting go of oneself.
Yeah, letting go of oneself.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm going to let you go, Andrew. Thank you very much for your for your time today, and bless you and Maria and the family and all that you're doing. Thank you. It's a privilege that we are part at St. Paul's. We are part of the work that you do.
Right. Thank you so much. And the feeling is mutual. We feel part of the family there.
Thank you.
Thank you.